Hey guys, so I'm sorry this one's late. It's been a weird day today, but so right from the jump, the episode gives us the aftermath of the battle with Faust and pretty much an introduction to Manta's family. And the thing is, as you all know, I had numerous problems with last week's episode. But this episode, I feel, provides at the very least, pretty much extremely satisfactory payoff. Because just from the simple act of giving us Monta's perspective and that of his parents, it does reinforce, I think, the it does reinforce for as fantastical as Yo's world is, and that of like of the spiritual world and the shamanistic world, it there is unfortunately an extreme degree of danger as experienced with the battle with Faust. So and the thing is, it's one of those things where it really doesn't matter as to what degree we may as to what degree we may disagree with the stance of Manta's father, which don't get me wrong, he is kind of a jerk in this episode for what for little time he did have, but at the same time, you pretty much do get the sense he is trying to protect Manta in a certain degree. Like he realizes that Yo's world, well, it is fantastical, it is great, and it is good that Manta has a friend. At the same time, that friend's world, it isn't exactly the safest either, and so obviously we can disagree all we want, but we can also kind of understand the need he feels in order to protect Manta as well. And but even more than that though, we just by getting this little glimpse into Manta's family, it not only shows what Manta's life was before meeting Yo, but also contrasts with just how much he's already changed because of that friendship, which makes the later scene of Yo choosing to break off his friendship with Manta a little more emotionally frustrating. Like obviously, as we see later on, like but both from Yo and both Yo and Manta, like they eventually all reconcile in the end, but but it does make the whole breakup in itself a little bit more emotional, even if they a little bit more emotional in the sense where, yeah, you can kind of understand what you can kind of understand that the prince need in order to protect Manta as well, and because you can understand because both pretty much Yo and Manta's father are both trying to protect him, just in pretty much different ways. And realistically, realistically, we pretty much all knew how this was going to end. Even if you haven't like seen the original anime, the setup in itself and the path to reconciliation, it was pretty much all straightforward. But at the same time, just adding just the tiny little bits of perspective allows for more personal growth for both Manta and Yo, where before it just felt like Yo had most of the character growth, and Manta just kind of remained stagnant and just really just kind of decided on the spot to continue being Yo's friend without doing any like introspection or consideration for pretty much the danger. But we just pretty much get a lot more of that. I feel like again, the path to get there is all very obvious, but just the little bits I think are where it counts more. And the thing is, if you also look deeper into Manta's father telling him to stay away from Yo, it is kind of an illustration of the series' key theme, which is it doesn't matter as to what era or time period, those with the abilities of the shaman and anyone with the ability to commune with the dead in general will always in some way or another be looked down upon with fear and disdain because they aren't normal. They don't fit into society and aren't normal from every other person on the planet. Even if Manta's father is doing it with the intent of protecting him, you can tell there is an underlying sense of fear and loathing he feels towards someone like Yo being around Manta because of those origins. And it's not just Manta's father either, because as we also and I know I just said that Manta's father's trying to do it to protect him, but again, it just shows the complexities of humans. That yeah, Manta's father is trying to protect him, but he also does loathe Yo as well, and it's not just Manta's father either, as we get a little bit of that from his mother too, when they're at the terminal and he says, you shouldn't be friends with him. He's not normal like us. Like you just get that you just get that subtle bit of a detestable tone from her character, although which I don't know as to if that was the original intent in the manga, because in the manga I got a little bit more of I got a little bit more genuine worry out of Manta's mother, whereas here again her tone is a little bit more detestable, and just a subtle bit of, just like her husband, just a subtle bit of loathing towards the idea of shamans and the afterlife and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know if the anime was the original intent or if the manga was, but yeah. And one thing I had forgotten about, both as a manga reader and an anime watcher, is just how great Ryu's character growth is. Because not only is he one of the biggest emotional centers of this episode, but because of his background of being the outsider looking in, it allows him to make observations about people and relationships that people themselves wouldn't realize. Of course, the experience with Tokugero had also helped in shaping that perspective. But I love just how much he made just through their simple conversation, how much that Manta realized just how important Yo is to Manta, and vice versa. Like if there's one thing Ryu understands more than anything else, it's the bonds between friends, and he knew that he knew neither Yo or Manta had meant what they said, and I love how he is kind of the pretty much surrogate in this situation. He's basically us looking in on it, and just kind of he's basically us who basically knows the obvious, but it's one of those things where sometimes sometimes the pretty much most obvious conclusion to come to is the one that pretty much needs to be kind of stated out loud. Um, so I love how that kind of the basis of what Prince Ryu is trying to tell Manta. With that said, when both Prince Manta and Ryu finally do make it to Izumo, they encounter they encounter I think her name is Tamao, and Panchi and Kanchi, or the Japanese equivalent of Ren and Stimpy, as I like to call them, which is probably unfair because somehow these two are honestly way more annoying than Ren and Stimpy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Panchi and Kanchi. Oh god, I hate these guys so much. Like, it's a good thing that they're pretty much not in the series a lot, but when they are, god damn it, are these guys annoying as shit. Like I thought, like, I thought Anna was annoying, but these guys take it to a whole new level, honestly, in a lot of ways. Um, Moving on from that, though, the anime kind of did something I'm not sure how to feel about, which is they pretty much cut a whole sections they pretty much cut whole sections from Shio's return home, and a lot of initial dialogue with his grandfather meant to, like, set up the trial that they were but that Yo was to undertake. But here they condense it all down to immediately jumping into the journey to the cave and basically, like, cliff noting a lot of the important points. And yeah, between this episode and last week's, I'm really starting to feel like the anime is needing a little more than 52 episodes for its adaptation, because the story in a lot of ways is going to continue to be very heavy with dialogue and moments or just the idea of the anime cutting any of those for the sake of pacing really kind of scares me, because even though we aren't losing a whole lot, I guess, just yet, we will eventually reach a point where the story going forward isn't necessarily something you can just cliff note or condense. Again, even though luckily for now it's only a mild issue, but in the end, we still, but in the end, we still see the whole journey. The whole journey is going to be a little. The whole journey from here is going to be a little more on a rocky road, I think, and in the end, but in the end, I do like how we do still see pretty much Yo like pretty much come out of it all much stronger and ready to take on Ren, which yeah. On that note, in order we basically learned that in we basically learned that one of Ren's biggest goals is to pretty much is to pretty much destroy the pretty much current form of the Tao family. I I do like how just with the conversation with Basson, we are continuously getting diving into the like backstory of the ghosts as it makes them more than just a part of the power scaling and actual individuals. But even more so than that, again, we pretty much see just through getting Ren's whole goal of wanting to destroy the Tao family, we pretty much we pretty much see that a lot of his hatred does come from that desire in order to reshape the Tao family in its current form. But again, after getting hints to what the Tao family is like, it isn't necessarily an unfounded goal. But at the same time, because Ren himself is also consumed by from the very hatred of the Tao family, it's one of those things where he'll also end up turning into something worse than it already is. And I like how this really sets up a lot of the stage for just the fight with Yo and a lot of the moral like quandaries he's gonna go through. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Analyst, Crunchyroll, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications and just share this around. Death and Anyway, signing off. Later, guys.